Hi, welcome back to Mountain Gym Card Collectibles. So today I want to talk about Fernando Mendoza and the big risk of hitting an awesome card and sending it back to Topps Fanatics to get replaced because it has damage on it, because it really is gambling. And I know that the QC at Topps Fanatics could be a lot better, but at my age, I tend to let some things go. But before I get into this card on X that I found that the individual sent in to be replaced, let's go over some things about Fernando Mendoza. He's the most recent Heisman Trophy winner of the 2025 NCAA football season. And it's very possible that he could go far at this point in time. But honestly, I just don't know because, I've gone over so many previous Heisman Trophy winners. A lot of them start out strong out the gates after they win the Heisman Trophy, but then a lot of them just fall to the wayside. Now, to me, when I look at Fernando Mendoza, hey, he's a great quarterback. Can't say he isn't, but he has a curse hanging over him. And what curse is that? Well, he's with the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know what it is about the Las Vegas Raiders, but, I've seen other, awesome quarterbacks go into that franchise, with its owners. And they don't do very well, You would expect that, with Tom Brady being tied to the Las Vegas Raiders, that they would do better than they do. But really, I don't know. Like I said, I just view Fernando Mendoza as having a curse because of that fact. And then we hit this post on X, okay? So, like I started, if you have a card that you pulled and you believe it's been damaged, it's too damaged for you to, put in your collection or try and resell, I would just be very, very weary of doing that, okay? Depending on the card. Now, for me, when I look at a lot of auto cards that I've purchased, I'm not as picky with corners, edges, this and that, because a lot of times these auto cards are the big highlight of people's collections, and I've seen them myself, and they are damaged, I got this from Bourbon Investments 2 on X. This came out May 17th, 2026, so just a day ago. And if anyone knows my channel, they know I'm not a big fan of Topps Fanatics. You should know that, I've seen a lot of QC issues with Topps Fanatics. You can expect them. And I understand, if you pull a big card and it's damaged and you want to return it and get, something better. I completely get that, but when it comes to these autograph cards, especially if they're numbered, I'm just not as picky with damage, Anyway, my final straw with that Topps and purchasing any more cards. I sent in my Fernando Mendoza out of $2.99 auto that was damaged. As far as I know, he sent it in this past winter sometime. I think it was December. I received this Joe Montana out of 10 auto that was damaged and a Fernando Mendoza base Sapphire Collections card. Topps, how will you make this right? And honestly, when I look at these cards, okay, if anyone knows me, I do not like Sapphire Collections cards. I just don't, this Bowman Chrome U. I just think that the font on them, the design just looks horrible. That's just my take on it. Now, I do like this Bowman Chrome U Notre Dame Joe Montana card, but then again, it's a Bowman Chrome U. It's not like it's originally from his days when he was playing, And I know that Joe Montana signs a lot of cards. So I'd be happy with this card, but honestly, I would be happier with a different card for Joe Montana. Now, if you get into this, kind of near Joe Montana's head, there's a little bit of damage on this card. For me, I would just let that go, I don't care. But this individual is not happy because they more than likely would prefer to have their original Fernando Mendoza card auto. I mean, that's what I would rather have, So right here, he's comped out this card that he had. This is one that's out of $299, just like the card that he had, although it does have a sticker initial auto, which is pretty cheesy in my opinion. I just wish they'd stop doing that. But, he comped it out at, about $810 on this one. Like it says, 2025 Fernando Mendoza Bowman University Chrome Auto Refractor out of $299. This one went for $810. Okay, so I'm not sure the condition of that card, though, but we'd have to look closer at this card. So anyway, let's get into this. So right here we have a reply. This is what happens when you think every card that you open and get in the pack should be a PSA 10. If every card was a PSA 10, nothing would be worth anything. And I can relate to the fact that if you're not a breaker in a breaking company, or you don't own a breaking company, and you're paying a lot of money for these boxes, I can understand why you want everything perfect. I get that. But unfortunately in this game, you kind of have to let some stuff go, because in my opinion, when I look at the damage on this card, I would have just let this go, all right? I would have preferred the auto, the number. I would have been like, there's a little bit of damage, but like I said, and maybe that's the experience thing. I've been doing this for a while, so when I look at autos, I'm just not as picky with, perfection as, say, I am with cards that don't have autos. Because if a card doesn't have an auto, I'm very, very picky, all right? So here we can see this damage, I would have just let this go. I would have, if you're into grading, even though I'm not into grading, I would have sent this off, had it authenticated, maybe graded. And you're still more than likely going to get a decent price if someone, wants to buy it with this card, because it's really not that bad, So if you're going to gamble and send in your cards, especially with Topps Fanatics, something like this with an auto, I would have just let it go, okay? So right here, at least you got something. I've been waiting on my damage submission from January. Like here he says, I was waiting since December. So he obviously, got this card in December, probably, ripped it open from a box, pack, whatever. Then right here, I know you said already, but how does the QA team say, oh yeah, let's fix this damage card and then miss something this obvious? Yeah, I mean, look at this damage on this card. It's a pretty thick ding, But with all the cards that I've owned, auto cards, I would just let go, all right? That's just me. But I'm more of a collector than a flipper to an extent. So here we have this. Seems like you got more than fair market value. So let's take a look here. So they priced this one out, that 2025 Bowman Chrome University Fernando Mendoza SS19 at $375. Okay. And then we have this 2025 Bowman U Chrome Joe Montana 1955 All-American Gold out of 5 on card for $425. Which, the issue with Joe Montana is always going to be the fact that he signs a lot of cards, okay? I've said that before. I know that, They already did make it right. And Burnett Investments, you're funny. So, see, this is the gamble part. And to me, this gamble didn't pay off. It just didn't, because I still believe that he'd be happier, with his auto card, that I started off with, but it still is a Bowman Chrome U, with a sticker auto. It's his college uniform. It's not like his first NFL, Las Vegas Raiders uniform. So to me, the value is going to decrease because of that fact, It may be hot right now, but once they start, showing out those autos where he is wearing his Raiders uniform, I don't see as much value in these, Bowman Chrome U cards. I mean, to be fair, you probably had plenty of people saying don't send it in because this is what happens. Yeah. And I'm saying it right now. If you have an awesome auto, for the most part, not that this was the best auto on the market, but something you're proud of, and maybe it has just a little bit of damage, I'm telling you, just hold on to it, man. Because what he got back is something he's just not satisfied with. Do you believe that this damage was worth the gamble to send in a fairly, awesome card, especially right now, because we know these windows open and close with these guys, I believe that with the window with Fernando Mendoza, before he hits the NFL and will likely be swept under the rug for a lot of reasons because of the curse of the Raiders, I believe that this was a mistake. Yes, Tots Fanatics can do a lot better QC, but if you're fortunate enough to get a card, say the Heisman Trophy winner of the year, you know that there's going to be a window on it. I would just bite my lip, hold my fingers, whatever I have to do, hold my hand back and be like, all right, I'm just going to go with it. And that's just the way I am with most autos, And if you've seen enough autos on the market getting sold at high prices, most of them are 7s, 8s, 6s, whatever. That's because the condition of the card doesn't matter as much as, say, a card that doesn't have an autograph on it. Especially of a, like kind of a rookie card or, this Fernando Mendoza card. Just be careful out there. I know that I see some big YouTube gurus, that are always sending back their cards that are damaged out of the box. And some of those cards, I would do the same thing. If it does not have an auto on it, yeah, let's push for perfection. But if it's a numbered auto, I'm just saying, just go with it, All I can say is when it comes to autos, maybe just don't go in with the same expectations as you would with other cards, all right? And that's just the way I view them, all right? Auto cards to me are typically different. But then again, this card was a sticker, which to me, that's rotten. It was initial auto on top of it. So then again, I can kind of see where this individual would not be satisfied, especially if they paid a lot of money to get into the box or maybe even the break, who knows, So anyway, I'd like to thank my subscribers. Thanks for sticking around. You're the only reason I do these episodes. And if you're a viewer, if you could subscribe to this channel, it would really help me out. And then don't forget to hit the thumbs up and keep an eye on your subscription list for new episodes. So anyway, I'm out of here. Have a great day. Bye.